Hey everybody! It's been a couple of weeks since I've been able to make a video because the last video I made was that 2 hour kind of let's just go over everything in the Reign of Jafar set, and I lost my voice by the end of it. So, and that lasted for a couple of days on and off, and actually it's been kind of uh, still prevalent. But what I wanted to do was to give you guys an update first on how the rest of the championship season for Arkaziah's Island went, and I was able to get one. I got first place in my third tournament. So overall, I got 12th, second, and then first. The second and first were the revision to my Control to Victory deck, and it just did way, way better. On the very first day, the one where I got 12th, it was just I ran into just bad matchups and I just didn't see answers some of the time. And there's days like that where I have been practicing and practicing and practicing, um, and putting in the reps, studying other decks, and then it comes time for playing and stuff just happens, right? And you just have a bad day. That totally, totally happens. So kind of go over things here on Dreamborn to kind of just go over the deck a little bit. Top performers that I would say it kind of varied. So the day that I got second, and for those 2 different days where I got second and first, I didn't run into some of the more wacky decks that I did like on the very first tournament. And I think that also helped to contribute to things so that I performed better. On the second tournament, I had the buy first, then it was Chernadog, then it was, which I 2-0 or 2-1 that. Then I did against Steel Song, and he was a phenomenal Steel Song player, and he 2-0'd me. Or no, it was 2-1, 2-1. And he won. I think he had won the dice roll, and he just got me. Um, then afterwards, I did a mirror match against a Ruby Amethyst that was running Flynn, and he said that it was kind of a set before. Those can still be dangerous if they catch you and you don't have early answers. I ended up 2-0ing that. Then I went up against an additional mirror match once I made top four. A different mirror match that ran a lot more evasives. I 2-0'd that one. And then I rematched against the Steel Song player in the finals. He went first because he had better seating, right? And so we 2-1 again. So I 1-2'd on that one as well. So I think I misspoke. I 1-2'd both times. He beat me both times. Come to find out, when I spoke with him later, he had tailored his deck to go up against Ruby Sapphire and Ruby Amethyst. So, and he's also a phenomenal player. So losing to him stinks, right? I wanted to get the first place, but I can't be totally upset because he's a really good player. In the third tournament, I went up against Chernadog right out of the gate. I beat that. Then it was Mirror, the guy that I had beaten previously in the top four. He also played there. He beat me. He 2-0'd me. That wasn't fun. I just did not. I saw one B prep in the first game. In the second game, I didn't see any. Right? It's just bad. Then I went and played against a off meta Steel Song. I beat that, and then there was somewhere in there was also another Steel Song that was off meta. Beat that. Round 5, I went up against a Blue Steel, and that one I beat, which was good because Blue Steel had beaten me in the very first tournament, and that was like my very first matchup, so it felt good to win that one. And then went into a rematch in the top cut to another Ruby Amethyst. Actually, it was the same guy that had beaten me earlier in the day. I did beat him. I 2-0'd him at that point, and then I played against a Steel Mufasa deck, and it just worked out for me. A number of the players are really good, right? So it just, that was my day. And I think that's kind of the takeaway sometimes of these tournaments, is that sometimes it's just your day, right? You can practice, you can do all this and that. And I think all the practicing helps, but there is an element that it is a card game, and you can just have a bad day where you just don't see the things that you need. You mulligan and it's just trash. And then that's what happened against that Ruby Amethyst guy. in the first match, I did not see what I needed. He did. In the second one, he did not see the card draw. I did. I had control, and I never lost control. So it just we completely reversed roles, and it just worked out for me that day. So then that was the store that I secured the championship. So overall, the other thing to kind of think about is that we are going into set 8. And what are Ruby Amethyst control players? Not the evasive, but the standard kind of control players. What are we going to do? And I don't really think that overall there's a whole lot to change right now. What I'm doing instead is I'm doing some experimenting with some other decks, but I'm keeping this one built so I can still come back and reference to it. Not reference, but to play it. And I got to say that I would say that the biggest card that probably made the largest improvement was Pirate's Life. And I think the second card from the changes that I had made from the first video was Maleficent. Being able to have her more consistently, even though there's only 2, but being able to drop sometimes to play her, like if I have 7 ink and I don't want to play B prep, or I played B prep on the previous term and I'm kind of running out of cards, I can drop Genie or Rabbit and Maleficent with only 7 ink, draw 2 cards, and now I might be totally back in the game. I've never felt that I was really missing or lacking any control by dropping the other Medusa. Having the way this was perfectly fine. Dropping down to 2 Elsas. Most of the time, I inked her. Every now and then, it was nice to have her, but typically, I didn't really need her. The One Finder's Keeper a couple of times did come in very handy. Teeth Inhibitions, I still would tell you that this is a phenomenal card. I think in the interim, as we're kind of waiting for the meta to kind of shake out in early set 8, I'm going to just leave this deck as is because I'm waiting to kind of see how prevalent is Steel Song. I think Steel Song is going to be really strong. I'm going to make a separate video about that. I think Blue Steel is going to be dangerous. I think obviously Chernodog is going to be threatening, but I think we can take it. I think we can just, as long as they don't just rocket ship away and get the absolute perfect hand, I think if anything that they trip up and we can run into some of this early fighters, we got it. We can slow them down. And then, even when they drop Chernobog, like, what are we going to do? We can do Tremaine. We can just use double Maui. We can use Be Prepared. We can use Be King, right? We have ways to stop them. Pirate's Life, being able to play that, not even always sing it, but just being able to play it and just bring them back down while I have characters quest forward is just a soul crushing kind of play. And I mean, if you played against Ruby Sapphire, you know that. But I think Pirate's Life was needed in Ruby Amethyst, and I think that taking advantage of it is a big deal. Pegasus here is another one of those cards that I wasn't putting a lot of weight in early season, and I started seeing the evasive guys do it, and I'm like, I don't really get it. And one of the guys locally explained to me, with Pegasus, you play Pegasus on 2. On turn 3, you play Merlin. Now all of a sudden, you've got a 6 strength character. You can blow up anything, right? Anything early game is deleted. There's nothing that can survive that outside of, I guess, technically now there's players starting to do like a just in time with Sheen Po. But I mean, that's an extreme case of like a very specific deck with very specific cards. Outside of that, like Robin Hood, the shift Robin Hood, if they manage to shift out something with Morph, there's nothing on turn 3 that they can, if they're ahead of you, or turn 4, I guess, for you, that you can't just delete with that combo. And that really, really, really has some huge value, because what are we trying to do early game? Slow it down, take control so that we can continue kind of controlling the tempo of the entire game. We keep drawing cards. We're putting a stop to the big stuff they're trying to do, and then we end up just winning. I would say that when it comes to locations, I had a different player ask me, like, how often do you actually play Queen's Castle? And subsequently, in that exact game, I ended up playing, I had one library on the table, and then he did a whole new world to me, and I played Castle Library again, like, afterwards, and it's like, what do you do, right? The game's, like, done if you're Steel Song. Like, how are you going to stop that, really? And it was just brutal. And I think that Queen's Castle, I do sometimes have to ink it because there's only the one. Having this in here really messes up the mirror match. Now, if we look into some of the cards in set 8, I don't really think that there is anything that really truly helps us. And I think that that's kind of interesting because if we go and separate this by set, first chapter, that's 1, 2, set 3, 4, 5, and 6. We already weren't running any set 7 cards. I don't really see anything in set 8 that is so awesome that I would take it no matter what. I would say, depending on how the meta kind of shifts, I can see going back to a Sisu line. Because right now we don't have that at all. I took that out. It just didn't work with things. But with Steel Song being really prevalent, them having a lot of little critters, it might be helpful to have Sisu back and being able to shift her in on 6, or just have that threat of her shifting in and then getting rid of her. I would not, or getting rid of a bunch of their line. I don't really think it's a great idea to stick her in here as a one of without something to shift on, because she's uninkable. We're already running at what? 13 uninkables, and there are times where you kind of do bump into a bit of a problem with that. I normally, excuse me, normally could wiggle my way out of it, but it is something we still have to think about. So putting in another big uninkable card could catch us. Um, I would say some of the things that kind of stand out to me with doing some other testing with other decks and kind of just trying to get an advanced wrap around in my head of like, okay, what do I think the meta might look like? I can't anticipate everything, but what do I think? I could see a place possibly for trying to fit in Madam Mim. The reason being is that, for example, Arthur, the blue steel Arthur, he is not fun to fight. I think we have plenty of ways to deal with him, but I have a friend we've been proxying and just kind of building, and I see other people talking about Arthur for blue steel, and that is a scary card. Even though they're not drawing cards from their draw step, he's just so big. Now, I think it'll be more of a problem for other decks, less for us if you're doing Ruby Amethyst control, because we have ways to just blow the board up. We have ways to just blow up individual characters like B King. If they don't have anybody else, they have to pick Arthur. So like we have things to do. It's with him having 6 health, we can use Maui. But I'm just saying, Mim being 6 strength, we could play really effectively on turn 3, I think is helpful. Because if we look at the other Mims, you have this one right here, a 2 cost that is inkable. She's not a great 2. She kind of slows our tempo down. But being able to put her on 2, she makes Brooms be a 2. She makes Chernobog Followers be a 3. Diablo is now a 1, right? He can take out something. This isn't a terrible play. It's just not great in the current tempo that we have right now with the version 2 of this deck. But we could play her on turn 2. Turn 3, we can play her. Now, the only downside is when you play this character, banish her or return another chosen character of yours to your hand. So she's like a fox and a snake where we have to bring something else back. So if we're shifting on her, we have to have another body. So you kind of have to have a little bit of setup, and that's kind of a bummer. And she's not inkable. So it's not like we can take her just hoping, well, maybe I'll get it. It might be better to do like, bounce something with Snake, play that 1 drop again, then shift with Mim bouncing that 1 back, and then you ink it, right? Or something kind of to that effect. Maybe ink it on the following turn. So there are ways to still do this and get a huge body. And this might be a different thing for us. On turn 3, if we do that line, we can then sing Friends on the Other Side right away, right? If we have nothing really good to fight, or we just want to put a big body just to be like, I control the board, there's nothing that you can do. Steel Song could sing Along Came Zeus, sure, and some other things. But by and large, we kind of established like, yeah, there is a big character on the table on turn 3. Not even, well, I guess technically, Baymax for Green Blue is very big. He's big enough to take her out because he's a 5/5. But they have to technically do it on turn 3 if they get the ramp on 2. Otherwise, it's a 4. So there are things that where she could be valuable, and we do have a way to get to her. But I think I would prefer to go the snake route, put more snakes in the deck. Because right now I'm only running 2. I would rather bump that up if I felt I really have to put the Rhino in. But if I'm putting the Rhino in, now do I need to take something else out that, to keep my uninkables down? And right now I like the way that the deck flows. Outside of her, I don't know. I feel like this Brutus kind of has space because it's during your turn when this character is banished. If one of your characters was damaged this turn, gain 2 lore. So it has to be during our turns. We can't do B prep. It has to be our turn when he is banished. If one of your characters was damaged this turn, gain 2. So we could use him to effectively be a self-destructive Calhoun, right? Crash into something. Maybe we hit something the turn before, we crash him into a second thing, right? Or we just take out a Lawrence or something that's really annoying that's going to damage us really bad anyway. We'll just trade Brutus into them, and now we've gotten 2 lore out of it and traded a character. That's not awful. It's just not great because there's no rush. On turn 4, we always would prefer, in most situations, Rabbit or Genie, basically forever. Worst case, kind of dig us out of a hole, is a 1-drop with a Fox. So it being 4 ink is kind of a bummer. It really is. I'd prefer it to be a 2-drop that only gives us 1 lore. Maybe not a 4/3, maybe a 3/3 or something. And even then, that would still be good enough to take out a Calhoun or something. And at least we get 1 lore while doing it, and we've done a trade with an inkable character. Outside of that, I really don't think there's anything that really, really helps us. Most everyone's mad here is not a awful card. It only gets rid of 1 character. It's just B prep is so much better at the points, right? Like that just doesn't help us. This is better for Ruby Sapphire, um, some action heavy deck. It's just not really for us. We're never going to be able to probably play enough actions in a turn to get Lilo out for free. She's a 5. We'd rather have Maui or something, or a Genie and a 1-drop or something like that, or a Castle and a 1-drop even. A library with a 1-drop, and you moved it into the library, right? There's lots of things that we would prefer at 5 over this. I don't really see anything that's phenomenal as is. I think that if we were to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, the meta has shifted, the meta is faster. I think more of it's going to be creative. I think a lot of set 8 is going to shake things up because there's new spicy things being brought in. The one card that I think we really do need to look out for, and this is something to bring up now, and I'm going to cover this in the Steel Song video as well because I am working on a Steel Song deck. Beyond the Horizon is absolutely disgusting. And the fact that they can sing this card on turn 3, I've actually figured out a way to be able to play it on 2. But on turn 3, you can consistently play this with Steel Song by playing Cindy, either Troubadour or Ursula, the singer 4s, and then Ariel if you didn't already have it to search for it, which then Cindy and Troubadour just sing it right away. And if they can drop us, like make us discard our hand, right? Because we have mulliganed relatively safely. We know against Steel Song kind of what to do. If anyone's curious, I can make a video kind of like what I would do against Steel Song. But we kind of have like a battle plan going into it, but Beyond the Horizon kind of just totally messes us up. And I think that this is a separate video all into itself of just how this affects the game. And I've been playing it with Steel Song, and I'm like, as Ruby Amethyst player, I'm like, I don't know what to do. Because what I think would happen to us is if they played it early and we had to throw away our hand and draw 3, and we know that we're up against Steel Song, and maybe even we know that we're up against them having it, we just dump our hand to a, let's say, 2 to 3 cards with maybe a card draw in there, because what they're going to do is they're going to see us drop down. They're not going to give us the benefit of Beyond the Horizon, because what you can do with it is choose any number of players. They discard their hand and draw 3 cards each. They can only choose themselves if they want, or they could only pick us, or they can pick both of us, right? Them and us and themselves. And so it just depends. So what I've been using it when I play Steel Song is like, oh, my hand's really low, but yours is really high. We're both going to do it. Oh, you're down to like 1 card and I'm down to like 1 junky one, or maybe I have no cards. Well, I'm going to only give it to myself and just leave you with the 1 card. It's brutal. Its utility is crazy. Sing together 7 is nuts. It probably should have been an 8 just to slow it down a little bit because of how many decks are going to be hurt by it. So overall, I'm hopeful-ish that early, if I were to make a prediction, early set 8, Ruby Amethyst is probably going to be depending on your region, you'll either do really good or you'll already have a lot of challenges. Because I think that happens lately. In the last couple of sets, Ruby Amethyst struggles in the beginning. We have time to fine tune things about mid season, and then come championship season, we're back at it, and we're able to kind of figure out a strategy forward. Last set, this Arkeziah's Island made things very difficult with, with a lot of the Sapphire stuff, and where Blue Steel and Ruby Sapphire were just so prevalent and so strong at big events that it's just like, what are you going to do? But your local area may still not even suffer from a deluge of Steel Song coming up. But yeah, I'm hopeful still that I think that we'll be able to figure out a way forward. If you like this deck, this is my favorite color combination. I love the control style, so I'm going to continue at it. If as we're going forward, like for one, join my Discord community. We can talk about this kind of stuff. I'm trying to build a community of people who are trying to take the game a little serious, not crazy, but all the way up to those who are taking it serious. I am trying to. And we can, hopefully build a community where people can play against each other, and we can keep sharpening each other's iron so that we get better and better as players. And I think that Ruby Amethyst is still a phenomenal color combination, and I think is definitely strongly in the rock paper scissors of, like, this deck may beat us, but we beat the deck that beats the one that beats us. So you kind of have this triangle or square of different decks beating different ones. And I the championship I won, I didn't run into a Steel Song player like the one at the second store. Would that have changed anything? I don't know, right? Their hand could still just brick, or they could just have a bad day, or they might be in the room, but they keep getting knocked around by other things, and I never run into them. Don't know, right? So, thank you guys for watching, and I've got a lot of other videos that are on the way, especially about the release stuff. So there's a lot more coming. So stay subscribed if you're not already. Subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. See ya.